Alright, today I've got footage from Matsubushi Cross in Saitama. It's just about an hour north of Tokyo, so got a lot of people signed up for today's race. They did not split up the ME4 category today, so there were 105 people on the start list. Looks like 93 ended up starting, or I guess finishing actually. So last year there were also around 80 riders in the race, and I was so worried about getting stuck behind people that I went out really hard. And then there were several climbing sections throughout the course that I just really exhausted myself on. And by the second or third lap, I was losing just more and more spots. I think I ended up finishing 30th or maybe 32nd overall out of 80, 85 people. So my plan this year was to not go out so hard off the start, and also maybe not push myself as hard on the climbing sections, at least in the first lap. And hopefully with any luck I'd be able to conserve some energy that way. Even if I was losing positions, I figured I'd be able to make that up in some of the downhill and straight sections. What I wasn't counting on though was all of the mud today, which made it a lot harder to have confidence in the downhills and straight sections where I was hoping to pick up lost positions. I still have no idea what he said to me there. Looks like I'm in about the top 10 or so. This is the first little sustained climb. A few steep parts like this, and then I think around this this next turn. Didn't look very muddy there. More of a dry, loose grass. There's definitely a lot of slipping throughout the race, though, for different reasons. Little gravel section right there. You have to be really careful to not be turning while coming through it. Bit of mud here. That section caused some problems for some people. Looks like I made it through fine there, the first pass through. This one was tough. I almost fell there. Managed to stay upright though. The video doesn't really do justice to a lot of the muddy sections. You just don't get a sense of how wet it actually was. Made for much slower turns than would have been the case with drier terrain like last year. another section where a little incline started with mud at the bottom, which made for some difficult traction. Again there, he slipped a little bit. I think I may have slipped as well. So now I think we're coming up the back side of the hill, or at least the opposite side that we came up the first time around. So again, it's a little bit of a sustained climb with some steeper sections like that little U-turn up to an 8% gradient or so. And then this last stretch here that was pretty grueling after 30 seconds or a minute of steady hard power. Heart rate was still doing okay, below 170 beats per minute, which I guess is still pretty safe for the first lap. Some more thick mud here that was just sludge and hard to turn through. Coming up on this turn here, I think. Let's see. Yeah, the tire slid right out from under me. I think my right foot stayed clipped in. I managed to get my left foot out and sort of supported myself so that I didn't fall completely. Somehow I managed to, avoid a bigger wipeout, but definitely made me more cautious for the next lap or two. Over these barriers here, again, slippery, thick sludge. Off to the right, it looked a little better, but it was just so slippery, hard to get much of any traction. I think that guy was telling me I was in 6th place. He was shouting out the positions each lap around. So these turns too were just all mud. Yeah, a little more traction coming outside around the really worn down areas. That wasn't always that helpful. I think here I usually try to take it wide and then get a little bit of traction to build up some momentum through this section here. I just remember sliding around through this muddy section here. That's really the last straightaway before the finish line. Almost another fall there. So here we've got this this straightaway to the finish, which is a lot longer than last year. Last year it was, I don't know, probably not more than 10 meters or so out of that last curve. So here I liked the setup because there was at least room for a sprint. But with that mud, it was just, it was so close but so far away when you're mashing the pedals to try to get through the mud. So this is my second race using a new GoPro. It's the latest Hero from this year. It's sort of a lighter, cheaper model. And I really think you can tell the video is a little jumpier. It almost seems too fast. I don't know if it's something with the frame rate or what. But not all that happy with it. But I'll make do with what I've got for now. So I think I managed to avoid any huge, crazy power spikes. Kept it relatively consistent. Heart rate isn't too high. So I guess I was pretty happy with where I was. It's about a lap and well, not quite a lap and a half in yet. But I was feeling happy enough about my chances, especially compared to last year, when it was really a completely different story. Where by this point I was just completely exhausted and losing one spot after another. There's a mud pit coming up here. Yeah, this one, where there's a channel groove right through the middle there, where I was able to keep some good speed. And then I really wanted to carry my momentum up through this little bit of mud there and this steep climb. Because again, I didn't want to push too hard on the climb itself, but if I could get into it with a little bit of a lead over other people, even if, like this guy, they passed me, they would have to exert a little more energy to do so, and hopefully over the course of the race that would tire them out more than it would tire me. That was the theory, at least. Whether it worked or not, I don't know. I think this backside was actually one of the better places to pass. There was one area there, passing before this little mud, and then I think up after this little turn, another fairly straight area. No, maybe not yet. I guess it was after this turn. Oh yeah, here. I dropped the chain. How long does this take? 10 seconds, 15 seconds or so. My chain just dropped off the front chain ring, and it got caught up a little bit. I took a couple of pedal strokes before realizing it, so I had to untangle it and then get it back on. I guess I didn't lose too much ground. I guess maybe number 27 here had an issue too, because I was right behind him before I dropped the chain. But it looks like a couple other people passed me, or at least caught up. This guy's just motoring up the climb. I couldn't tell how old he was, if he was a junior racer, younger racer or not. But I do think I could outweigh him by 20 kilograms or so. So even though I wasn't expecting any mud today, I put on my wheels that had mud tires on them, the Baby Limuses. I just didn't think there was much benefit on this course to having the file tread or the mixed terrain tires, even if it was dry conditions. So when I got into the warm-up free-ride, I was really glad that I had those, the mud tires, and they did about as well as I could hope for. I had some slips here and there, but overall I thought I was able to keep decent traction, given how muddy it was. Going back up to the double barriers here, I think last year there weren't any barriers, and it may have just been a straightaway without that sort of chicane curve. Because I remember thinking from last year's course that this would have been a pretty good place to overtake people, a nice flat straightaway. But they broke it up this year with that chicane turn and then the double barriers. And of course, there was all that mud that it made things difficult as well. I think maybe that woman was calling out the positions this time. I think maybe she said 10th. Barely going 10 kilometers per hour here through that sludge. .70 RPM. So you can hear the bell ringing for the final lap. So it's just 3 laps today. Last year, I think it was 4 laps. I think it's mainly because of all this mud slowing people down. Last year, the laps were 6 or 7 minutes. This year, they're 8 or 9 minutes. Definitely slower on the second lap than the first lap. But if you take out that 15 seconds or so that I lost for the chain slipping off, it gets a little closer. So the guy in green is number 92. And then the guy in the mountain bike is 102. So they started way at the back. Made up a lot of ground. Last one. It's interesting, they're checking tire width at the start of the race. And I'm not sure what the actual rule is for this category. With the other upper categories, it's 33 millimeters. So I'm not sure if they allowed something a little wider for ME4, maybe 35, 36 or so. But whatever it was, I don't know how a mountain bike would pass. I think there were a few others in the field too. I saw 2 or 3 at least. I wonder if they let everyone in and then just make people ineligible for upgrades or something like that. Who knows? was definitely feeling it here. My heart rate wasn't too high, still only 171 beats, but I think with just the repeated climbs, my legs were definitely fatigued. I guess on this type of course with sort of repeated steep climbs, my heart rate doesn't stay as high as it does on a more sustained flat course. I definitely feel it in my legs. I just feel a little sluggish and not able to quite respond when other people are pushing a little harder up those hills, and I just feel like I'm almost moving backwards. Looks like he was having trouble through the mud, but managed to come out fine. Have a fall up there to the right. I almost fell too. Again, went through this channel in the middle. Was able to overtake the guy on the right. Let's see what I had left for this climb. 500 watts. Not quite 600. Oh, no, here at the top of that hill I noticed that I dropped the chain again, so I was just finding some place to pull over again. It's another 5 seconds. 10 seconds by now. Yeah, so at least another 15 seconds or so lost there. There's number 27 again. It's fitting that I'm back together with him, I guess. We all looked about equally tired through here, I thought. So this is the backside of that hill again, so it's the last real sustained climb of the lap. Race. I couldn't quite decide what to do here. On the one hand, I didn't want to just blow myself up and have nothing left at the end. But on the other hand, I figured I was probably somewhere around 15th place or so. And if I could get by these three guys here, maybe I could catch another couple and finish in the top 10 or so, which I'd probably be really happy with on this course. So here, I guess, yeah, I put in a little bit of an effort, 700, 800 watts, get over the top here. But it was rough. My heart rate's up a little bit, and I felt it more than my heart rate showing. shot out of nowhere. 2 of them. I guess maybe 40 was in that group of 3 or 4 people with me a little while back. 44 I don't remember seeing. So that last chicane into the double barriers here. So not a whole lot more room to pass. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people or so right there. Looks like maybe I got by a couple of them. Another 1 or 2 here. A little worried that there were enough people here all fighting for final position that it would get a little sloppy and out of control, and that one of us would fall, maybe take down the others. I was trying to go for places with a little more traction, find the little bits of grass to just help avoiding slipping. So wide turn here. Some little patches of grass through the middle there, but I don't think they were that much help. And this is the last U-turn. One guy slipped by. It's 40 again. I think at this point I didn't see anyone else behind me, but that group in front of me was just too far ahead. So that was not quite the all-out intense finish that I was sort of imagining. I think we were all just completely wiped at that point and doing anything we could to get over the line. We had to climb up this little hill here to get off the course, but you can see everyone just hunched over their bikes, and up on the left, people just dropping their bikes and lying down on the ground. So I think I finished 18th overall, which is fine. Definitely better than last year, so I'm happy about that. Frustrating to lose 30 seconds or so from those chain drops. I probably would have been closer to the top 10 or so with those 30 seconds back. But that happens. You know, everyone's got an excuse to point to. And it was still a fun race, and looking forward to the next one.